Hello everyone and welcome back to Full House Sports here with myself, Charlie. It has been a wild week in the boxing world. I say wild week in the boxing world, it always feels like a wild week in the boxing world. So rather than doing 4 or 5 different videos on it, I thought I'd just do a roundup of a few different talking points that I've spotted. In one video, I've got a few different points to talk about here. And the first point I wanted to talk about was Manny Pacquiao, because listen, as a massive Pac-Man fan, as a man who grew up watching Prime Manny when he was destroying guys like Oscar De La Hoya, Miguel Cotto, Margarito, that performance, it lives in my brain rent-free, that Margarito performance. He is looking for an opponent in January, and it feels like every man and his dog is calling him out. Every man and his dog's being linked. The obvious fight that we thought was going to happen was Rolly Romero. I still think that could be the fight that happens, is most likely, but Romero has been ordered by the WBA to face Shahram Giyasov, the Uzbek. Tricky Uzbek, by the way, in a WBA title fight. I don't know what happens there. I guess they'll pay Giyasov step-aside money and then let Rolly take the Manny fight. I'm guessing that's what they're going to do, and I think the WBA have probably caught wind of this and gone, let's do this so we get paid the step-aside money. The cynical side of me says that anyway, because I think if Rolly doesn't have a belt, he doesn't get the Pacquiao fight. That's the brutal honest truth. I saw BoxRaw tweet a wild rumour that Lomachenko might be facing Pacquiao. There's a part of me, bear in mind that they're two of my favourite boxers of all time, that would love to see that fight, but as an exhibition, not as a full-on professional fight. And I don't see how that happens feasibly as a full-on professional fight, because Lomachenko was not big at 135 to then go up to 147. I know Pacquiao's not the biggest, but he's naturally sat at that weight for years. I just don't think it doesn't make sense. But I don't know whether that was BoxRaw just trying to get engagement. I don't know. But Teofimo Lopez put up on his Instagram that he was looking at fighting either Shakur or Pacquiao in January. I think that's Tio being Tio. I think he wants eyes and voices up talking about him, and he wants eyes on him. I don't see why. I hope he wouldn't fight Manny Pacquiao, because I think that would be really, really bad for Manny. Like I say, I'd like Manny to retire, but he doesn't want to. He wants to break his own record. He's clearly still got the bug, and I think that showed in the Barrios fight. He's still got the bug. He still wants to fight. But he's 47. Time don't wait for no man. That's the truth. And it's not waiting for him. I think the problem is, and I was thinking about this earlier when I was talking about this to someone, is you look at the welterweight division 10 years ago, where you had so many elite fighters, or even not just elite, but B-level fighters, but were well known. You had almost two stables. You had Top Rank, and then you had Golden Boy, where you had for top rank you had Pacquiao, Marquez, Bradley, Jesse Vargas, Brandon Rios, Mike Alvarado, Ruslan Provodnikov, another fighter I love, and Matisse as well was in and around there. Then at Golden Boy you had, Matisse was there as well, but you had Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, obviously Mayweather as well was still knocking about, Victor Ortiz, Andre Berto, all those guys. There's probably 10 or 12 others I haven't named. Errol Spence was on the come up, Devin Alexander, there's loads. We had Amir Khan, we had Kell Brook. There was loads to think of, really. And unfortunately now the welterweight division has gone from being really strong to not strong at all, unfortunately. You look at 3 of the 4 champions. In fact, all 4 champions, none of them are stars. I mean, Brian Norman's fighting Devin Haney. That's a big fight, but Norman's not well known outside of hardcore boxing circles. Rolly Romero, yes, fair play. You've got to give him props for the Ryan Garcia performance, but he's not an elite fight. Look at what Tank did to him, and not Pitbull. Lewis Crocker, yeah, I'm happy for him. I really like Lewis Crocker as a fighter, but would he even be top 20 10 years ago? Probably not. And then you've obviously got Barrios, who I think everyone is universally seeing as a free belt. I mean, Conor Benn said about fighting him. So I think, unfortunately, you're in a position where Manny still wants to fight, and rather than if it was another division where fighters might be going, no, he's old, we're done with him, we want the elite fights, people in the welterweight division are going, oh, yeah, I want that fight because it's the money fight. I mean, none of them unifications really do money, really do big numbers, not the same way a Manny Pacquiao fight does still. I saw Frank Smith talk about bringing Pacquiao over to Belfast. I mean, it won't happen, but that's the sort of thing, isn't it? They all want to talk about that fight. And it's unfortunate because I do think it will end badly. I think he was lucky against Barrios because Barrios is a poor champion. I can see it ending badly for Manny Pacquiao, and sadly, because let's face it, Manny Pacquiao in his prime destroys Rolly Romero in 3 rounds. Speaking of older fighters, it looks like Derek Chisora is going to bow out on December 13th against Zhilei Zhang. I did say a few weeks ago I thought that would be a great fight to make for Del Boy's last fight. It's entertaining, and he's got an ideal dance partner, because let's face it, Zhang's not going to stand there and try and outbox him. He's going to stand there to be hit. Del Boy's going to stand there and there to be hit. So I think it's going to be a case of almost 2 hammers, 2 axes going at a tree, and just which one falls first, just which one's blows take the toll first. I do worry a little bit for Del Boy in this fight, because Zhang, he's called Big Bang for a reason. He can bang, and that does worry me slightly. But like I say, he wants to go out with a memory for the fans, and that's fair enough. It's an entertaining fight. Zhang is starting to build a bit of a following, certainly over here. I think he's with Queensbury as well. I think they've got a retainer on him, so it does make sense. And like I say, hopefully Del Boy goes out on his own terms and then calls it a day. I was never a fan of the idea of him fighting Dubois or AJ. They were, to me, dangerous fights. They didn't need to be made. This one is entertaining. It'll be an entertaining build-up, and like I say, on the fight night, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get 2 big blokes in there swinging at each other for as long as it goes. And in a sense, as long as that's his last one, I'm fine with that. On that card as well, Moses Itauma, it looks like we'll be facing Hughie Fury. There's been a weird back and forth today that I'm not sure how to get my head around or where to go with it. Itauma was ordered to face Kubrat Pulev, who's the WBA regular champion, which is a different story in itself. I cannot stand these WBA regular belts, especially at heavyweight. It really lessens the value, and I'm sorry it does, because everyone knows Usyk's the unified champion. Nobody thinks Kubrat Pulev is a champion. No boxing fan thinks he's a champion. Let's be real. And he was ordered to face up Moses Itauma, and then, bizarrely enough, has announced that he's going to fight Murat Gassiev in Dubai on December 12th. I've got to say, Gassiev, it's a real come up for him. When he was at Cruiserweight, Gassiev, I thought he was a real problem. I really liked him. And when he announced he was coming up to heavyweight, I think he was after the World Boxing Super Series. He lost to Usyk, and I remember him coming saying he was going to come up as well. And I was really excited for this. I thought he's a problem, especially with his movement and his power. Hasn't quite worked out. I think there's been promotional issues, the way the heavyweight landscape's changed. He was fighting in Turkey, I think, not long ago, and he hasn't really got himself in that picture. But Pulev's 44, and I do think that Gassiev has a good chance here. And then if he does win, he lands himself in the big fight picture, which is brilliant to see. And like I say, it was a bizarre day, really, because in the morning that was ordered, even Frank Warren was putting things on social media about it, saying about Itauma's been ordered to face Pulev, and then that fight's been announced. So I don't know where they go with that. I think Itauma will fight Hughie Fury for all the money in the world. I think it's dead set that they will fight. It's a good fight for Hughie Fury. I'm really happy for him getting himself back in the big time. I don't think he'll be destroyed in the same way Dillian Whyte was destroyed, and I think that's a positive. He'll probably give Itauma valuable rounds. His stock will rise as well. He'll be back in that domestic mix. Everybody's a winner. And also, Dubois Sanchez might be on that card as well. I don't know where they go with that or whether that's going to happen. They did talk about Dubois getting out before the end of the year. So whether he naturally falls into that card, and then does that card become pay-per-view? Which leads me nicely onto the big breaking news, that is the Ring Pass is going to launch next month. It was said earlier today that David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde was going to be on pay-per-view. I was going to do a video about that, saying about how I was thinking DAZN have put a lot on pay-per-view recently. Parker Wardley next weekend. I'm sorry, never in a million years is that a pay-per-view fight. It's a good fight. It's not a £25 fight. Then Eubank Ben as well was going to be on pay-per-view, and then the Ring Night of Champions would be on pay-per-view. But it looks like now the Ring Pass is going to be in play. Whether there's been a sudden U-turn because of the quite negative reaction that the announcement that it was on pay-per-view was met with, whether they've said, right, we need to put the Ring Pass out earlier than maybe it was projected, I don't know. I'm really glad, to be honest, because we were all told that DAZN was going to be the end of pay-per-view. I myself am a DAZN subscriber, and you're still forking out a lot of money on pay-per-views, which is, you know, when it was first announced, it was going to be the death of pay-per-view. It was going to be sports outs to Netflix. I know they've had to change their models because of different investors, potentially things not going to plan in other aspects, not getting the sporting rights that they thought they'd get outside of boxing. It's good if that's been launched. Where that leaves all the other boxing content, I don't know, because depending on what he's charging for the ring, you'd expect a few more events than probably 2 a year. Let's be realistic. So what that does with all the other boxing content, I don't know. Where that leaves all that. It's good for boxing. I think it's definitely something that Turki Al Sheikh took from Dana White and said, that's what I want to do. That's how I want to go with it. With the UFC Fight Pass, I want to go with that as well. The Ring Pass. I mean, that Night of Champions card, I saw some notes on a podcast earlier, and a lot of them fights are just not being promoted. I'm not, like I say, I always say this, I'm not a hater. I try and call things as it is. I think this card's been poorly promoted, to be honest. We're used to seeing these brilliant sort of film level trailers for these fight nights, and now we've not got that for this one at all. You wouldn't know Sam Noakes Dulabation the fighting, and Bam's obviously on the card as well. He's not being really promoted. Even Haney Norman is not really being capitalised on. And I don't know whether Better B has been took off that card or what's going on. I think he has been announced he is being took off it. So there's that as well. Other news, talking of fights, Clark TKV has been postponed to November 29th. Some may say conveniently, with the fact that that is Ben Whitaker's debut for Matchroom, who's a former boxer star, which you just couldn't make this stuff up. You really couldn't. Yeah. Conveniently, TKV's stubbed a toe and they've moved it back to then that night. Listen, fair play to Ben Shalom, I guess, for having the minerals to do that, but it's just not what you want as boxing fans. You don't want clashes, and that's the bottom line. And also, in other news, it looks like Vidal Riley will be signing with Matchroom. Makes sense. Obviously, he wants to leave boxer. I think a lot of fighters want to leave boxer, and there's a cruiserweight mix developing at the domestic scene. I think he sort of wants to go up now and knows that the king of the cruiserweights is there. That was spoken about. And lastly, Hamza Shiraz and Callum Simpson has apparently been ordered by the EBU. I can't see this fight happening. I think Shiraz is having the Canelo fight dangled by His Excellency. I think he's having the Chris Eubank fight dangled by His Excellency. I can't see him not taking a backward step. I can't see that happening. I think Callum Simpson versus Troy Williamson is going to happen anyway. I think that's dead set in stone. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching it. As always, I'll try and do more of these sort of recap videos rather than just bits and bobs. Please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. And always have a great day. Thank you.